Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a closer look at 3 U.S. crypto stocks. Definitely ones get attention right now. Coinbase, Riot Platforms, and MRRA Holdings.
That's right, and we've got a fresh report just out today, Monday, May 5th, 2025. It gives us a really good snapshot of where they stand.
Yeah, and what's interesting is they're all kind of sitting at these key technical spots. Plus, this is big, they all have earnings calls coming up. Same day, Wednesday, May 8th.
So our mission here really is to break down this report for you. We want to get past just the numbers, figure out the trading positions, what might happen next for these stocks.
And hopefully give you those crucial insights without, burying you in super technical trading talk.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Coinbase first. Ticker, COIN.
Yep, COIN. So the report's highlighting that it's trading near resistance, around $206.90.
Right, and that's after a pretty decent run, wasn't it? Like 12% gain over the last month.
Yeah.
And it just got back above $200.
It did. So this $206.90 level, think of it like a bit of a ceiling.
Okay.
Historically, sellers tend to show up around there.
Okay.
So if Trion can actually push through that, like decisively break above it, that could signal real buying strength.
And potentially lead higher. Maybe towards that next level the report mentions, $226.56.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay.
It would suggest that recent upward trend might continue.
Gotcha. And just for anyone maybe newer to this space, Coinbase is, a major crypto exchange here in the US, right? Buying, selling, holding digital assets.
The main platform for many, yeah. Now looking at the details, Friday it closed up 1.80%, which is good.
But then today, pre-market, it was down a bit, 1.85%.
No, a little bit of give back, yeah. But what's interesting technically are the EMAs, the exponential moving averages. They're getting really close to what's called a bullish golden cross. That's when a short-term average crosses above a longer-term one.
And traders see that as a potentially positive sign, right, for maybe a longer uptrend.
Often, yes. It suggests underlying momentum might be shifting upwards.
Right. Okay. And the report also mentioned the RSI, the Relative Strength Index. It's at 58.59. What does that tell us? Is that high, low?
It's sort of in the middle, leaning positive. It suggests there's been buying pressure, definitely, but it's not yet in overbought territory.
Overbought is usually above 70, right?
Generally, yeah. So hitting 70 might make you think a pullback is coming. At 58.59, there's arguably still room for it to climb higher.
Especially if that earnings call on Wednesday goes well.
Exactly. A positive surprise there could fuel more upside.
Of course, things can always go the other way. What if Coinbase stalls here? What's the downside picture look like?
Well, the first key support level the report points to is $194. Think of that as a potential floor.
Okay.
If it breaks below that $194 mark, that could signal weakening momentum. Then you might look towards lower levels, maybe $183 or even $176.
Areas where buyers might step back in, maybe.
Potentially, but a break below $194 would definitely be a caution flag.
And like we said, that earnings call on Wednesday, May 8th, looms large, not just for Coin, but for Riot and MARI too.
Oh, absolutely. Earnings are always huge. It's not just the past quarter's numbers, is it? It's the guidance, what management says about the future.
Right. That can really swing the stock price. Any surprises, good or bad?
Yeah, investors react fast. Big potential for volatility around these calls.
Okay, let's pivot then. Let's talk Riot Platforms, ticker RIOT.
All right, RIOT. Now, they just reported earnings, didn't they? Last week, May 1st.
They did, and the headline was record Q1 revenue, $161.4 million. Sounds good on the surface.
It does sound good, but there's a but. Despite that record revenue, they also posted a pretty hefty net loss.
How big?
$296.4 million for the quarter.
Oof. That's substantial. What drove that?
Primarily, it was a big jump in their Bitcoin mining costs. The report says those costs nearly doubled compared to last year.
Doubled. Wow. To what level?
Came out to $43,808 per Bitcoin mined. That's quite high. And it really ate into their profitability.
Yikes. Okay. But despite those costs, they seem to still be mining aggressively. The report mentioned they hold over 19,000 Bitcoin now.
Yeah, they've increased production and built up quite a stash. Valued at, around $1.86 billion based on current prices.
So they have that asset on the books, even with the mining cost pressures.
Correct. But maybe the more intriguing thing with Riot right now is their strategic shift.
Oh yeah? What's that?
They're actively moving towards AI, artificial intelligence, and high-performance computing.
AI, that's a big change from just mining Bitcoin, isn't it?
It's a major pivot, potentially. They're apparently investing heavily in the infrastructure needed: land, fiber optics for data, water access, all that stuff you need for big computing operations.
Huh. So they're serious about this AI direction. How are they funding it? That sounds expensive.
Well, the report mentions they secured a $100 million credit line. And guess who from?
Who?
Coinbase, using their Bitcoin holdings as collateral.
No kidding. So Coinbase is lending Riot money, backed by Bitcoin, to fund an AI pivot. Interesting connection there.
It really is. Gives Riot some flexibility while leveraging those Bitcoin assets. Now, trading-wise, Riot had a strong close Friday, up nearly 8%.
Showing some momentum.
Yeah, but like the others, it was down a bit in pre-market today, about 2.6%.
So kind of mixed signals. What are the key levels for RAT then?
If that Friday momentum comes back, the next resistance the report flags is around $8.82. A break above that could be positive.
And if the selling pressure continues?
Then you watch the support at $7.87 first. If that breaks, you might look lower towards $7.41 or even $7.25.
Okay, got it. So that leaves us with MERA Holdings, ticker MARA.
MAR, right. So Friday it closed up 3%, managed to stay above $14, which is psychologically important maybe.
But same story today, pre-market, down a bit.
Yep, down about 3.04%. What's really noticeable with MERA, according to the report, is it seems kind of range-bound right now.
Stuck in a channel. Between what levels?
Support seems to be around $13.61 and resistance up near $14.68, just sort of chopping sideways in between.
Which often happens when the market's waiting for something, right? A catalyst.
Exactly. Consolidation before the next move. So that earnings call on Wednesday.
Yeah, seems like it could be the thing that breaks it out of that range, one way or the other. What's the upside potential if it does break higher?
If it can get convincingly above that $14.68 resistance, the report suggests the next target could be around $16.24.
Okay, that would be a decent move. And technically, EMERA is also showing that potential EMA golden cross, like Coinbase.
It is, yeah. The EMAs are converging, nearing that potential bullish signal. It's definitely a recurring theme across these three right now.
Which maybe suggests some broader positive sentiment in the sector. Or at least the technicals hint at it.
Could be. When you see similar patterns across related stocks, it's worth noting, but, technicals aren't guarantees.
Right. So what about the downside for MRA if that $13.61 support doesn't hold?
If it breaks below that level, the report suggests it could potentially fall towards $12.06. That would be a pretty clear breakdown from the current range.
And again, just like Coin, MRA's earnings are Wednesday, May 8th. Feels like we keep saying that, but it's clearly the big date this week for this group.
It absolutely is. And for MRA, being stuck in this range, what the report calls a technical inflection point. That earnings release is just massive.
Yeah, the results, the guidance.
Yeah.
That's likely going to dictate whether it breaks up through resistance or down through support, wouldn't you say?
Very likely, yes. Investor sentiment could shift dramatically based on what they report and say about the future.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Quick summary of what this report tells us. Coinbase, facing resistance near $207 after a good run. Earnings Wednesday.
Right. Riot. Record revenue, but big loss due to mining costs, pivoting hard into AI, funded partly by Coinbase. Earnings also Wednesday.
And MRA, stuck in a range between roughly $13.60 and $14.70. Technicals hinting bullish with that potential golden cross, but again, critical earnings on Wednesday.
And that technical similarity, those potential golden crosses on the EMAs for Coin and MRA, it's an interesting undercurrent, suggests potential upward momentum.
But those May 8th earnings reports are the wild cards, aren't they? The X factors.
Absolutely. Technicals might suggest one thing, but fundamental news from earnings can completely override them. So you definitely need to watch these closely this week.
Especially Wednesday.
Especially Wednesday.
All right, so maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. You've got this inherent volatility in crypto, right?
Yeah.
And then you have these three companies taking pretty different approaches. Coinbase is the established exchange.
Riot is making this bold, maybe risky bet on AI.
And RR is still heavily focused on the core Bitcoin mining operation.
So with those different strategies, what do these technical signals we talked about, plus these looming earnings reports, what does it all suggest collectively about where crypto-related stocks might be heading? Or how investors are feeling about the space overall?
Yeah, it's definitely not a simple picture, is it? Lots of moving parts.
Definitely not.
Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.